Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dan Scripps, Chair of the Michigan Public Service Commission. I call this meeting of the Commission to order on June 12th, 2025 at 1 o'clock p.m. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Chair Scripps,
Present.
Commissioner Peritick,
Present.
Commissioner Carrion.
Present.
Mr. Chair, you have it.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Today's meeting is being held in person here at the Commission's office at 7109 West Saginaw Highway in Lansing. We're also hosting this meeting remotely using Microsoft Teams. Telephone relay service is available through the phone option. If you are participating via Microsoft Teams, you may also turn on the live captions by clicking on the More button at the top right of your Teams window, then clicking on Language and Speech from the drop-down menu, and finally clicking on Turn on Live Captions. As indicated in the notice for today's meeting, if we lose the remote connection, the Commission will not recess. The meeting will, however, be recorded and available for future reference on the Commission's website. In addition, the Commissioners can receive comments via lara-mpsc-commissioners@michigan.gov. And for reference, this email is also included in today's meeting notice. We will, of course, have an opportunity for the public to make comments as provided in the agenda. A few notes about this. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and 1 per person. If you would like to make verbal comments, you must do so in person or remotely through Microsoft Teams or by calling into the meeting by phone. For individuals attending in person and who want to make a verbal comment, please fill out a comment card. They're available at the front table near the podium. For individuals participating remotely by Microsoft Teams and who want to make a verbal comment, you may click on the raise hand button at any time to be queued up for comment. And for individuals participating remotely by phone and who want to make a verbal comment, you may press *5 at any time to enter the queue. Public commenters on both Microsoft Teams and on the phone are added to the same speaker queue and will be called upon in the order that they enter the queue. Please do not lower your hand or press *5 again, or you'll be removed from the queue and lose your place in line. And finally, to minimize disruptions, attendees participating by Microsoft Teams or by phone will be muted until we reach the time for public comment. The first order of business is the approval of the agenda for today's meeting.
I move for the approval of the agenda for today's commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve today's agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The agenda is approved. The next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the May 15, 2025 Commission meeting.
I move for the approval of the minutes from the May 15, 2025 commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the May 15, 2025 Commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The Commission meeting minutes of May 15, 2025 are approved. The next item of business on the agenda is the approval of the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. And today the Commission is ably assisted by Staff Attorney Blair Renfro. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Good afternoon. Today's consent agenda consists of 6 communications matters, 2 electric matters, 4 gas matters, and 1 steam matter. The proposed orders and minute actions for these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staff and are ready for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Renfro. I move for the approval of the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The orders and minute actions on the consent agenda are approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A1 is case number U-15805, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company requesting ex parte approval of an engineering, procurement, and construction agreement and module supply contract for the Blackman Solar Project. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-15805.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote, and the order in case number U-15805 is approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A2 is case number U-20350, which involves an application filed by Upper Peninsula Power Company requesting ex parte approval of the member interest purchase agreement and engineering, procurement, and construction agreements for the Republic Solar Project. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20350.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20350 is approved. Recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A3 is case number U-20604, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company seeking ex parte approval of a power purchase agreement with Pivot Energy Michigan 18 LLC. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20604.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20604 is approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A4 is case number U-20757, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to review its response to COVID-19 and to provide guidance and direction moving forward. The order before you reviews the Critical Care Collaborative recommendations as reflected in the December 26, 2024 report filed in this docket, and further directs the Commission staff to initiate the rulemaking process and collaborative with the Energy Affordability and Accessibility Collaborative consistent with this order.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20757.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Thanks, Chair. With today's approval of the order in this case, the Commission furthers its commitment to protect vulnerable customers and assess metrics that can drive towards a clearer definition of customer affordability. First, today we direct the start of a rulemaking process that ensures that medically vulnerable customers can be protected from disconnections while keeping them engaged during their protection period beyond the enrollment and renewal periods alone. Remaining in touch with medically vulnerable customers in between enrollment and renewal can aim to help mitigate and manage account arrearages during the critical care shutoff protection period by ensuring customers seek assistance if income eligible or enter into a payment plan. Rule revision would encourage both engagement from the utility and the customer, requiring the utility to work hand in hand with the customer, while providing guidance with assistance and payment plan options. At the Commission, rulemaking is always an excellent time for public input and participation, and any party or person with an interest in ensuring methods for vulnerable customers to have peace of mind during these critical care periods are encouraged to follow future related rulemaking updates. And finally, along the lines of inviting comment, this order also takes an important step in directing the development of affordability metrics for feedback, then requesting staff work with the Energy Affordability and Accessibility Collaboratives Affordability Alignment and Assistance Subcommittee, a mouthful, to incorporate these results in the forthcoming percent of income payment plan analysis report. And as a reminder, comments from the public on DT Electric, DT Gas, and Consumer Energy's percent of income payment plan or PIP pilot reports are due soon by 5 p.m. on June 14th, with reply comments due by 5 p.m. on June 26th. We're also inviting comment on the proposed definition of home energy security as recommended by staff on the same timeline. And so I invite anyone interested in weighing in on the PIP pilot results and this definition to comment and follow this docket for updates.
Thank you, Commissioner Carrion, and thank you as well for your leadership in energy affordability issues ongoing. Is there additional discussion?
Thank you, Chair. While this docket began in response to the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, it has evolved into something much larger since then. The Commission began by assessing our response to the pandemic and continued to use this docket to explore the need for special protections for customers to ensure access to utility services and to assist those struggling with paying their utility bills. And this order is no different. It confirms the definition of a critical care customer, a definition that outlines who's eligible for shutoff protection afforded to customers whose life depends on reliable access to electric service, along with all of the other details that Commissioner Carrion ably described, and I won't go through in detail again. But I did also just want to highlight that it does direct the rulemaking process that Commissioner Carrion described to establish a customer journey that considers different scenarios and outcomes. And as stated by our staff, the overall goal is to find a way to keep medically vulnerable customers protected by still continuing to keep them engaged during the protection and beyond the enrollment and renewal period, ultimately resulting in success. And then finally, this order does direct the development of affordability metrics, which will be helpful not only in this case, but also as we continue to assess pathways for low-income customer affordability.
Thank you, Commissioner Peretick, and for your leadership as well. We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20757 is approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A5 is case number U-21305, which involves an action on the Commission's own motion to investigate, audit, and review methods employed by DT Electric Company. Item 4A6 is case number U-21305, which involves an action on the commission's own motion to investigate, audit, and review methods employed by Consumers Energy Company. Staff member Taylor Becker will describe these orders.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Taylor Becker, and I have the privilege to serve as manager of the Distribution Planning Section within the Commission's Energy Resources Division. On August 29th, 2022, a storm bringing over 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts caused destruction to trees and poles, many downed wires, and nearly 500,000 customer outages, along with fatal and critical injuries to members of the public. In response to these tragedies and concerns surrounding the performance of the electric distribution system, the Commission issued an order on October 5th, 2022, in case number U-21305, directing DTE Electric and Consumers Energy to report on current compliance with certain Commission service quality rules and technical standards for electric service, along with a report on several other issues related to wire down response and public protection. The order further directed staff to commence the process of hiring a consultant to perform an independent third-party audit of the electric distribution systems of DTE Electric and Consumers Energy. The Liberty Consulting Group, or Liberty, was later hired to perform the audit focused on two parts for each company. Part 1, a physical audit of the existing and installed infrastructure in comparison of the electric distribution system to that of other utilities in similar climates. Part 2, an audit of existing programs and processes to determine whether emergency preparedness, storm restoration, distribution system maintenance, and investment are sufficient and properly planned for severe events and changing load profiles. Liberty submitted its reports on September 23rd, 2024, consisting of 42 recommendations for DTE Electric and 33 recommendations for Consumers Energy. On September 26th, 2024, the Commission issued an order requiring the utilities to respond to their respective audit reports from Liberty and invited comments and reply comments from interested persons. Parties filing comments included the Michigan Department of Attorney General, the City of Ann Arbor, the Michigan Environmental Council, Natural Resources Defense Council, Sierra Club, the Citizens Utility Board of Michigan, the staff, Environmental Law and Policy Center, the Ecology Center, the Union of Concerned Scientists, and Vote Solar, DTE Electric, Consumers Energy, Great Lakes Renewable Energy Association, Overstory, and John Budd. The orders before you adopt Liberty's findings and recommendations and require future assessment, reporting, and analysis. The orders adopt and place into action several items aimed to improve the performance of the existing electric distribution system through improved storm planning and response, system maintenance activities, and short-term investment strategies, along with items associated with distribution planning to set us on a path to meet future demands and customer expectations. Before closing, I would like to thank the Liberty Consulting Group for their expertise and diligent audit findings, DTE and Consumers for their continuous cooperation throughout the audit process, and all interested parties for their thoughtful responses to the audit reports and subsequent utility responses. The actions ordered today mark critical steps to ensure the two largest investor-owned utilities in the state are poised to provide acceptable electric service to their customers in the short term and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Becker. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21305 regarding DTE Electric Company under item 4A5.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll make my comments now. There are two separate orders regarding this audit. The one for DTE Electric, which is before us now, and the following one will be for Consumers Energy. So my comments now will be addressed towards both orders. First of all, I'd like to thank our staff, especially Taylor Becker, Nick Evans, Paul Proudfoot, Julie Baldwin, Anna Schiller, Kit Sabo, Lee Zagley, Luke Denon, Jessica Duell, Allie Durfee, Ryan Boutte, and Jing Shi, among others, for all of their work on this third-party audit over the past 2 years. This was the Commission's first third-party audit on our state's distribution system, and it was a huge undertaking by our staff to analyze the results of the audit. The results serve to be extremely helpful in identifying opportunities to improve reliability at the lowest cost. Most of the recommendations made by Liberty, the third-party auditor, were agreed to by the utilities and have already been implemented or are in the process of being implemented. For example, Liberty recommended that the utilities hire an on-staff meteorologist. This meteorologist can better predict storm impact, location, and severity, allowing the utilities to become more effective at staging their crews and ensuring the right equipment and personnel is dispatched to the most effective location. Both utilities have implemented this recommendation already, and we're seeing improved storm results. But there were a number of recommendations where the utilities' plans and Liberty recommendations did not align. And those recommendations are what are addressed in this order before us. We addressed each of these contested recommendations and provided directives to the utilities. For example, Consumers Energy currently employs a 7-year effective tree trimming cycle for their distribution circuits. The audit recommends moving to a shorter cycle as a cost-effective way of reducing outages from falling trees and limbs during storms. We know that frequent tree trimming is a highly cost-effective way to improve reliability. This order directs Consumers Energy to then analyze the benefits of shifting to that shorter 4-year tree trimming cycle in its next electric rate case. Liberty also recommended that DTE Electric adopt a 4 to 5 year visual overhead circuit inspection program, which focuses on securing visual control over the system. This will result in more frequent overhead inspection than the company currently conducts, so proactive maintenance and repair can take place before the outages occur at a much cheaper cost. Another important example is Liberty's recommendation that both utilities begin reporting additional details on downed wire statistics. The danger of live wires that fall down off of utility poles cannot be overstated. Increasing transparency and accountability for de-energization and guarding of any downed wires is a priority. I'm excited that after a thorough and detailed audit process, we're now implementing the results to push our utilities towards excellence. The recommendations provided by the third-party experts, both the uncontested and contested ones addressed in this order, will now be embedded into decisions going forward, including distribution plans and rate cases for cost recovery.
Thank you, Commissioner Peretick. There additional discussion?
Sure. This is also for both related orders. I'd also like to thank all of the individuals and groups who have engaged and continue to remain engaged in this docket, from the auditors who conducted the assessments to the parties who reviewed and commented on the recommendations. And I especially want to thank and recognize our staff from the electric operations and distribution planning sections, led by Nick Evans and Taylor Becker, who presented today, respectively. Staff poured over the audit reports and comments we received to help ensure we guide utilities to remain focused on the most impactful and cost-effective actions that lead to system improvements. The Commission, as Commissioner Peretick has highlighted, has spoken at length about the unprecedented nature of the in-depth, comprehensive audits conducted on both DTE and consumers' electric distribution systems, and the enduring and significant impact the audit results will have on monitoring and informing investment in the state's largest utilities' reliability improvement efforts. I wanted to highlight a couple of aspects from the directives for both the DTE and consumers' orders today, as well as connect these audit results to broader activities underway at the Commission. First, it's imperative to state the goals of these audits as a reminder. These goals are to investigate, audit, and review methods employed by DTE Electric Company and Consumers Energy Company to secure good electric service and the safety of the public. Accordingly, the Commission has directed adopting the findings and recommendations of the Liberty's audit report for both DTE and consumers, including directing the companies to develop, as Commissioner Peretick described, additional wire-down reporting information for inclusion in reports to the Commission to ensure public safety. The order for DTE also directs the company to assess its ability to perform planned increases in capital projects and provide a comparison of actual reliability performance to aspirational reliability projections, including assessing rate impacts for meeting the company's reliability goals over different timeframes in its next rate case. The audit results ensure the Commission has a reliable source of performance recommendations and industry best practices with corresponding findings from which to draw that can help inform not only rate case evidentiary records, but also both companies' distribution system plans, reporting requirements, as Commissioner Peretick described, to increase transparency, and metrics within financial incentives and disincentive frameworks and beyond. Alignment across proceedings will lead to greater efficiencies and can help build stronger evidentiary records for consistency across planning approaches and cost recovery requests.
Thank you, Commissioner Carrion. And just a couple words from myself as well, but before we move to the first vote, and mine also cover both orders in front of us. I just want to note that the findings of the audit, and Mr. Becker did a great job describing it and the comprehensive nature of the audit. But in addition to the 75 specific recommendations, 42 for DTE Electric Company and 33 for consumers, also include 67 observations rooted in the expertise of the independent auditors, as well as 148 conclusions on the state of the two utilities' respective distribution grids. So truly a deep dive into the system. And I think the orders in front of us today, as well as the comprehensive approach that really goes back nearly a decade, but these orders are a major part of our focus on reliability, speak to that. Today's orders are indeed a major milestone in our years-long efforts to improve system reliability and storm restoration efforts. The implementation will continue in future distribution plans and rate cases, as my colleagues noted, as many of the recommendations will be implemented over time to improve reliability and resilience for electric customers in Michigan. And so I want to thank, in addition to our staff, and certainly add my thanks to the staff from the electric operations section led by Nick Evans and the distribution planning section led by Taylor Becker, but as well to all of the individuals that Commissioner Peretick mentioned, and to the attorneys and advisors who assisted us in our deliberative processes and drafting the orders in front of us. It really was a team effort, as well as the independent auditors and my fellow commissioners for their steadfast commitment to improving the reliability and resilience of Michigan's distribution electric grids, or electric distribution grids. Our goal as commissioners fundamentally is to leave the grid better than we found it. And I believe that the actions taken today ensure that we do just that. And with that, we will move to a vote on the order in case number U-21305 regarding DTE Electric Company. That's item 4A5. I will have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21305 regarding DTE Electric Company is approved.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21305 regarding Consumers Energy Company under item 4A6.
I second the motion.
I'm assuming there's no additional discussion. We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21305 regarding Consumers Energy Company is also approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A7 is case number U-21388, which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to open a docket to collaboratively consider issues related to the reliability and resiliency of the electric power system in Michigan in a Commission-sponsored technical conference. The order before you invites comments on the Commission staff's straw proposal on critical facility resilience and directs the Commission staff to hold a technical conference on undergrounding and alternatives to undergrounding and file a follow-up report in this docket.
Thank you, Mr. Renfro. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21388.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. As is the case in many states, Michigan is experiencing increasingly frequent and increasingly severe weather. At the end of March, our northern lower peninsula was hit by an extreme winter weather event that resulted in dangerous ice accumulation followed by gale force winds. This caused widespread power outages and had significant impacts on critical services throughout the region, including loss of phone and cellular services, impassable roads, and damage to homes and businesses. Storms like this are, unfortunately, not rare. We have been acutely focused on increasing electric system resilience for several years now. For example, the Commission hosted a two-part technical conference on resilience in 2023 with discussions and recommendations from staff, local government officials, industry leaders, national experts, consumer advocates, and others. We also launched a reliability reporting template, conducted the third-party audit that we just discussed and issued an order on, implemented financial incentives and disincentives around reliability metrics, and kept a keen eye to investments that would improve reliability and resilience in rate cases and in distribution system plans. We've launched storm response investigations and utility data collection and transparency efforts, and required utilities to meet with local government officials and emergency response teams to improve communication during extreme weather. We created a dedicated distribution planning section within the Commission staff that Mr. Becker leads. We revised the service quality standards to raise the bar for utility outage response. We increased outage credits and made them automatic. We were among the first commissions in the country to monitor our utilities' pursuits of federal funding for resilience and affordability. And we offered a review of service quality rules and technical standards and resilience requirements of critical facilities to operate in the event of an outage, and asked our staff to file a proposal to improve critical facility resilience in this docket. The order before us now invites comment on that proposal from anyone who would like to offer their input. And this order adds one more action to this long list of attempts to improve reliability and resilience. We're going to be holding a technical workshop to discuss the costs and benefits of undergrounding electrical distribution infrastructure. This was a prominent theme that we heard from the public when we hosted a hearing in Gaylord following the March ice storm, and has been a topic of research for utilities and for our staff over recent years. We'll be hosting a virtual workshop to dig into this, so if you're interested, stay tuned for details and timing on the agenda.
Thank you, Commissioner Peritick. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21388 is approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A8 is case number U-21420, which involves an application filed by Upper Peninsula Power Company for ex parte approval of an extension of the temporary waiver of MISH-Admin Code R460.732R of the Commission's Service Quality and Reliability Standards for Electric Distribution Systems. The order before you grants a temporary waiver of MISH-Admin Code R460.732R until April 30th, 2027.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21420.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote, and the order in case number U-21420 is approved. Recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A9 is case number U-21423, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company requesting approval to implement a power supply cost recovery plan for the 12 months ending December 31st, 2024. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21423.
I second the motion.
You're good. Is there any discussion? I'll just note that in addition to approving the application, it also approves power supply cost recovery factors, contingency mechanism as described in the order, and accepts the company's 5-year forecast.
Thank you.
We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21423 is approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro. Sorry about that.
No worries. I didn't get to the next page quick enough. Item 4A10 is case number U-21467, which involves the approval of interconnection procedures, forms, and agreements for Indiana Michigan Power Company pursuant to MISH-Admin Code R460.920. The order before you approves interconnection procedures, forms, and agreements, and grants limited waivers.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21467.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21467 is approved. And I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A11 is case numbers U-21471 et al., which involve applications filed on Michigan Electric Transmission Company, LLC, seeking the issuance of certificates and public convenience and necessity for the construction of major transmission lines under the Electric Transmission Line Certification Act, Public Act 30 of 1995. The order before you permits the parties to submit supplemental briefing on the issue described in the order.
Thank you, Mr. Renfro. I move for the approval of the order in case numbers U-21471 et al.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I would like to thank our staff and the intervening parties to this case for their thoughtful input in this transmission siting case. As noted in the agenda, this order before us currently is not a final order. Rather, it's a limited order asking for supplemental briefing regarding the proposed Helix Hippo transmission line. The order does not make a determination on the application of the Helix Hippo line or the Nelson Oneida line. When considering whether to issue a certificate of public convenience and necessity, the Commission must decide whether the proposed or alternate route presented by the transmission company are reasonable and feasible. Regarding the Nelson Oneida line, we had many individual and group interveners present evidence and arguments regarding METC's proposed routes, as well as analysis of alternatives proposed by the interveners. All of this information filed by METC and supplemented by interveners will help us make a reasoned decision on the Nelson-Oneida line. However, we would benefit from supplemental briefing on a limited issue regarding the Helix Hippo line. The proposed route for the Helix Hippo line transects an existing airport. This airport was registered with the FAA prior to METC's application, has been used as an airport for 30 years, and was brought to METC's attention before their application was filed. Yet, METC has proposed to route the transmission line through the airport. And the alternate route that METC included in their application, which avoids the airport, has different social impacts from the proposed route. It requires 35 more acres of new right-of-way, has 17 more residences within the 500 feet of the center line, crosses 25 more parcels, and has 2 more archaeological sites within the right-of-way when compared to the proposed route. We must determine, are either of these routes reasonable? Therefore, I encourage any party to this case who can help us sort through this determination of reasonableness to submit a brief on this issue by June 26th. I look forward to reading them before making a final decision in this case.
Thank you, Commissioner Paratek. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case numbers U-21471 et al. Is approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A12 is case number U-21482, which involves approval of interconnection procedures filed by DTE Electric Company pursuant to MISH-Admin Code R460.920. The order before you grants a second joint motion to extend and extends the deadline for issuing a final order in this case until August 21st, 2025.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21482.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21482 is approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A13 is case number U-21665, which involves an application filed by Indiana Michigan Power Company for ex parte approval of tariffs governing the provision of outdoor security lighting. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21665.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21665 is approved. I recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A14 is case number U-21776, which involves an application filed by American Rural Cooperative Power, Inc. for approval of its renewable energy plan filing pursuant to Public Act 295, 2008 as amended. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21776.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21776 is approved. Recognize Mr. Renfro.
Item 4A15 is case number U-21902, which involves a matter on the commission's own motion to establish a process for addressing requests filed under the Mid-Continent Independent System Operator, Inc.'s proposed expedited resource addition study tariff. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission approved the proposal. Should the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission approve the proposal? The order before you allows interested persons to file initial and reply comments on the commission's revised proposed process for addressing requests for a verification.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21902.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21902 is approved. I recognized Mr. Renfro for the last time today.
Item 4A16 is case number U-21914, which involves an application by Consumers Energy Company requesting ex parte approval for accounting authority to use a regulatory asset to defer operations and maintenance expense associated with the March-April 2025 storm event. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21914.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21914 is approved. We've now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we will take public comments in the following order. First, from individuals attending in person, and then from individuals participating remotely, either through Microsoft Teams or the phone, who have entered the speaker queue. As a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns and not to answer specific questions. When providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you're willing to share so that we have it for our records. And again, please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief, no longer than 3 minutes, so that we have a chance to hear from all who would like to comment. I do have one comment card today from Mr. Robert Williams. So Mr. Williams. Welcome.
For the comment period. My wife and I own the piece of property. It's a FAA registered airport identified as 18MI, which was mentioned earlier. One little correction, it's been there 33 years now. But other than that, it's just south of Marshall. The proposed lines directly directly across it. I've been in contact with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission via the Landowners Helpline Dispute Resolution Service. This is a service available to all landowners upon request. It's pronounced FERC by the staff agency FERC. So if I refer to the FERC team is pursuing my concerns of a line crossing a federally registered airport. The team is investigating if an alternative route is available to the METC. That can go back in the records to Michigan Public Service Commission staff Zachary Heidman's testimony referring to a route as PR Prime. It does not change the entire route. It only changes a small section. It was found to be a better routing than the original. The subject, while talking to the FERC team, the subject of alternately varying transmission lines was brought forth. Under certain properties, the conditions could be done. That is on the Burns McDonnell website, which I'm pretty sure is ITC's consulting firm on the lines. So that is a precedent that's been set before to vary transmission lines up to 720,000 volts. These are 345. So anyway, my wife and I received a letter from ITC dated June 3rd of 2025 via US mail. The letter stated we have received an offer for our land via their land consulting firm. We have not received anything such as that. The gentleman, their consultant, did come out. This is last year sometime. Just showed up the door and he said, they don't believe you have a runway. So we got in his car and we drove both ways on the runway, showed him the lights on the runway that can be turned on from the airplane for night. And he said, I guess you really do have. We've never heard a thing back since then. So that copy of that letter has been transmitted to the staff. So, anyway, that would be it today. Thank you. I thought we had goodies when I walked in, cake and cookies. I guess I was wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Is there anybody else who would like to provide public comment who's attending in person before we move to the remote options? Okay. We have two folks queued up at this point, and the first is Peter Sullivan. So, Mr. Sullivan, I invite you to unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
You can. We can even see you.
Terrific. So good afternoon. My name is Peter Sullivan. I'm speaking on behalf of my mother, Margot Sullivan. She lives in Fowler and owns 80 acres of Centennial farmland located in Section 13 of the proposed route. My comments here today are associated with case U21471 and the Act 30 Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity for the Oneida Nelson Road Transmission Line Extension. We're disappointed with the decision to approve the Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity. Reiterating my comments that I made to all three of you in my letter dated May 9th of 2025, I'll be waiting for the ruling to take a look at it, to understand the details, and to determine which route of the proposed or the alternative route was approved. We will continue to demand that ITC reduce the right-of-way by 50 feet as supported by the public comments and expert testimony of Valerie Woolsheed Brennan. We will also continue to demand that ITC utilize an existing right-of-way located on the western property line of my mom's farmland, which is owned by consumers. We support the application of the federal law that requires that the existing 8 miles of right-of-way of the alternative route be used as detailed at length in the public comments and expert testimony by Valerie Woolsheed Brennan. It's also customary to have electric facilities co-located on monopoles. ITC should work with consumers to utilize the existing corridor to minimize costs, reduce the land consumption, and increase reliability. Mr. Tim Ross, who's the land manager that represents ITC, stated to me that, quote, consumers in ITC don't play well in the sandbox. Frankly, I find that troubling. We're indifferent to the political issues between these two utilities. They need to work together to serve the public interest and do the right thing to reduce the amount of utility plant required to install their facilities. Should we not be successful in getting ITC to reduce the right-of-way by 50 feet and to use the existing right-of-way, I can promise them that we will intervene in the FERC case and request that FERC disallow any recovery of the excess costs associated with these inefficiencies. I appreciate your comment earlier where your goal is to leave the grid better than when you found it. I would hope that you'd be able to utilize your influence to ensure that the farmland is well cared for in addition and not neglected. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. And I don't usually respond to comments because we don't. But just to clarify, today's order was just an interim order that allowed for additional briefing. It is not a final order on either segment. So there was no approval of anything today. Simply an opportunity for additional briefing on the route of the Helix Hippo line.
Okay, well, this is my mom's land that does not involve the Helix Hippo. It's the Nelson Road Oneida line. Although, but thank you for that clarification. But we'll continue to keep our ear to the rail and stay involved as needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sullivan. The next person I have queued up on the virtual options is calling in by phone, and the last 4 are 7733. So could the individual with that phone number unmute yourself?
Hello.
Hello. We can hear
Hi,
you.
my name is Jack. Okay, my name is Jack Wages. I live down in Union City. And my comment is in reference to the Helix Hipple ITC line. I'm hoping that the commission will not approve their application for this thing based on the number of centennial farms, just agricultural farms, fields that this line is supposed to go across if they're successful. They have not been transparent at all with this whole thing since it's been in discussion for the last few years, and the number of people that were just notified last fall and late summer. The majority of the people that I have talked to and listened to at several meetings that we've had down here in Branch and Calhoun County, there hasn't been one person that I have heard or talked to that has signed a contract with ITC down here, because the contract is so lopsided that it's anybody with any common sense wouldn't even consider signing it. You know, they want to put in there that any equipment that is on our property that belongs to them, if something happens to it, we're liable for it. Well, at that point, who's liable for any contamination? If if it's a vehicle that motor overheats and cracks a block, so you've got oil or transmission fluid or any type of contaminant spilling out into the ground, we're supposed to be responsible for their vehicle, for their maintenance, cleaning up the mess. You know, they want access to our property 24/7 without any type of notification. Not only their 200-foot right-of-way, the total piece of property, along with if we want to lease or sell the property, we have to get their permission. This company is a foreign-based public utility company that this project is not going to benefit the citizens down here. This is so this company can sell power to other places in the country, maybe even Canada, because that's where they're from. I mean, I have to wonder if a public utility, if they said they were going to go across any of your 3 properties, and they told you, you know, it might reduce your property values by 50%, how would you feel? Would you go along with that? Would you be okay with that? Taking one for their team? If you want to answer me, I mean, I'm listening here. So I understand that you're not supposed to comment, but stop and think about it. I think there are 55 different private property owners down here on this Helix Hipple line that are, every one of them that I have talked to is in agreement that they do not want this thing to come across our property. The best resolution that we've come up with or heard, everybody has the same idea. Why don't you go down I-69, go down the 69 corridor where it affects nobody? They have one property owner to deal with, and that's the state of Michigan. If this project is that important to the state, why not do that? And then you can get it started whenever.
Thank you, Mr. Wages.
You know, okay, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll conclude the public comment period of today's meeting, but please note that the public may continue to submit comments to the commissioners at any time via email at lara-mpsc-commissioners@michigan.gov. And again, that email address is in today's meeting notice. Just a couple of quick announcements before we wrap up. If I can get back on the right page. First, I want to express my appreciation to the Federal Small Business Administration for their disaster declaration earlier this week. It provides much needed federal support in response to the ice storms that impacted northern Michigan at the end of March and beginning of April that Commissioner Peretick, you spoke about earlier today. So expressing my appreciation for that. Secondly, just to note that in June, we celebrate Pride Month and Juneteenth. Juneteenth marks the end of slavery in the United States, and it celebrates June 19th, 1865, when word of the end of the Civil War reached Galveston, Texas. And that was announced by Major General Gordon Granger as he issued General Order Number 3, which demanded absolute equality between previously enslaved people and former slaveholders. Juneteenth became a federal holiday in 2021 and a state holiday in the state of Michigan in 2023. In addition, Pride Month, celebrated every year in June, traces its origins to the early 1970s after the Stonewall Uprising in 1969. In celebration of Pride Month, there are a number of events across the state of Michigan, across state government, and we're proud to celebrate this and every June. And then finally, it was mentioned that there were cake earlier, and that's because after we adjourn, we'll have an opportunity to celebrate Julie Baldwin, who is retiring at the end of this month, following 36 years with the Public Service Commission, the last several as the director of our Energy Operations Division. She is affectionately dubbed the Velvet Hammer. One of the nicest people that you'll ever meet, but also one that you don't necessarily want to cross. And the stories across Julie's 36 years at the commission are legendary. Unfortunately, very few can be shared in public. So we'll, are there any additional announcements or reminders? Okay. The next regular commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, July 10th at 2025 at 1:00 p.m. And with that, we'll conclude today's meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn today's meeting.
I second the motion.
We will now have a vote on the motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.